before against Team WE. They get the comeback, putting themselves into game number 5, but they're still up against Team WE, a historical organization who's been incredibly strong in the summer split of the LPL and will definitely be looking to try and fight for that final spot heading into the World Championship later on this year.
I mean, frankly, coming into this Team W were the heavy favorites. We said that out of the four teams represented today, 3 of them are representatives of Group B from the summer split, which is definitively much stronger group in the LPL. Snake, your only Group A representative. They're going the distance, and it's down to the wire.
It certainly is, and we are into picks and bans for that final match between Team WE as well as Snake, as Gangplank and Alessandro, the first 2 bans come out from Team WE. Shen and Talia will be the bans coming out from Snake, as the final ban from Team WE is going to be the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, once again, a Respect Rek'Sai ban taken away from SofM. Also just weirdly enough taken away from Condi, because SofM seems to have the answer towards it. So better the champion doesn't exist than is picked.
And Gangplank permanently banned not only today, but also last night.
And Shen.
They've taken away so much. Shen also, Snake have banned it in every single game they've played today, regardless if it was against Vici or against Team WE.
He can cause a lot of problems for the top lane. Flandre doesn't necessarily like to play Shen, hasn't shown a lot of it, so it does make sense that they're going to continue to respect that champion. Flandre wants to be on those hard carry Trinity Force users, and Shen can counteract and slow down a lot of their power spikes.
So they take away the Echo for 957. An MVP performance from Flandre, most importantly, is a reason that you would look towards this. Showed a lot of prowess on the champion and a well-deserved first pick from WE.
And on the other side, the immediate rotation of the Sivir and Malzahar in tandem. Again, one of the issues that Malzahar has is that he is very low mobility. It takes him a long time to get into those team fights. So with the on-the-hunt advantage, he can threaten a lot more with his ultimate.
And the great thing about this Malzahar being picked up by Snake is it's still a flex pick for their team. We've seen LPL teams throw it into the top lane a couple of times, but Snake are the only team so far to put it into the jungle for SofM.
And that would be massive in a Game 5 in your miracle run for SofM to go back to just not even a cheese pick, but just a really hit and miss swing of power there and have that Malzahar go into the jungle.
This would be interesting if WE do lock this one in. Almost indicative of a Jhin to be seen from Mystic as a follow-up to the Trundle. Means it's guaranteed to have their roles locked in. There's no flexes there at all.
It's Condi also looking to take the Gragas away from SofM, who picked it up in that last match for Snake.
It also does threaten the fact that if SofM takes that Malzahar into the jungle, you have the range displacement of the cask to interrupt him. So a lot of counterplay available and power given back to Condi in this matchup if it is Gragas versus Malzahar.
And it is going to be the Trundle being picked up as well by Team WE. That should be flexed into the bottom lane 4-0 with the Echo already picked up, most likely going over towards 957, but we have seen a mid lane Echo already today. Still the options of flex picking for Team WE.
Speaking of flex pick, if that is the third rotation lock, and it does mean for sure that that will be the jungle Malzahar.
Let's see what they do decide to lock in next.
What?
Still waiting for Snake. Rusty seems a bit confused over there. You okay there?
It's mid.
Alright, we'll see. Doesn't matter.
Could be mid.
Let's see what Snake are going to take first and complete their drop before we see where this Malzahar is going. For now, it's going to be Flandre picking up his Gnar, heading into the top lane. Champion that's been banned out against and picked away from him a couple of times in both series they played today, whereas Jay-Z is going to be picking up Brom, heading into the bottom lane.
Yeah, so a strong rotation once again from Snake, having Gnar for Flandre, big playmaker. He's actually shown his mechanical ability on the champion, let alone the decision-making that Flandre has. Very good solo carry. Put in with SofM, they seem to be those new Bash Bros working together in tandem. Feels like nothing can really stop them.
And you mentioned, Rusty, when the Trundle was picked up, it's most likely going to be a Jhin picked up by Mystic to go with it in the bottom lane. Hovering over the champion now, and they're still missing potentially a mid laner for C as their final pick.
Definitely the mid laner.
Yeah, it should be. And interestingly enough, no Tahm Kench from Jay-Z. Goes for the Brom, feels like almost as a denial perhaps from CA, but it was already locked in, so weird decision.
I like
Vladimir being taken away as well as the Jhin being picked up by Mystic.
I like the fact that it's a more aggressive 2v2, that when you have that Brom, you're looking for chaining of the hard CC as opposed to prioritizing disengage and reset with Tahm Kench.
Also you have the Brom going up against the Gragas, the shield, you know, a little bit of a soft counter towards Gragas' ultimate.
It definitely is, and I actually agree with the Brom. I'm just saying it's curious more so because we just see him have that propensity towards Tahm Kench. So they lock it in. It does well into most of what WE actually have to offer, and now we find out if it is a flex or if they just last rotation jungle for SofM.
We're also getting the Vladimir Powerhouse pick coming out for Team WE in game number 5. A pick that was very heavily contested in our first series, but just kind of fell through Champions Select time and time again in this best of 5 against Team WE.
Wow.
As we're waiting to see what the final pick coming out from Tag's going to be, and they lock it in. Cassidy will be taken to the mid lane, and is going to be SofM taking the Malzahar into the jungle.
Again, this is the first competitive major split for a player like SofM. He's incredibly young. They made their gauntlet run. They dropped into the playoffs. They've played for 10 hours, and now in Game 5 of his second best of 5, he's taking the responsibility. He's saying, I'll be the carry, and he takes the Malzahar jungle.
And not only that, they bring out a Cassidy with it, so an assassin in that middle lane. The Echo didn't work, so a really big question mark hovers over Tank at the moment. Can he actually get it done? He picks this into the matchup that he wants. It doesn't mean that he can play the assassin that Snake needs.
A lot of ability power damage users on Team WE, catering to the passive and the Q of Caster, but more importantly, a criticism that you guys have a lot about casters being picked up in the mid lane for LPL teams that it doesn't get paired with wave clear very frequently. This time round, Crystal does have the Sivir to compensate for the lack of wave clear in that mid lane.
As well as the Malzahar, also very good at wave clear. Now, if you haven't seen SofM's jungle Malzahar, it works a bit like this. Malzahar is very fast and furious through the jungle. He stays incredibly healthy because he relies on his voidlings to burn through that. Now, SofM, Malzahar is a bit more brittle, a bit more fragile, so in dueling scenarios, it's a bit scarier. SofM will invade anyway.
Yep.
He likes to be very quick and very fast, but that means there's a higher priority on vision and gathering information about where Condi will be, so SofM can make these safe, responsible, aggressive choices.
We have also seen before SofM pick up red buff on Malzahar and just walk up into the mid lane, slap people with those auto attacks and try and get a gank going as early as level 2. So he plays this as if he was a traditional jungle champion, and is very strong in it as well.
Yeah, definitely is strong. And now we see the finished team compositions for both of these teams. Remember, game number 10 for Snake, but game number 5 in this series. Very important for both of these, as it is do or die.
They're trying to go the distance. Team WE want to keep their dreams, so they head into this 5th game. It is a best of 5 series. It's down to the wires. We're on to 7 2 for the last time tonight. Team WE taking on Snake Esports.
These are 2 teams' world dreams on the line. Whoever loses here will not be able to represent China at Worlds. Team WE, they've rebuilt their dynasty, finishing in 4th place for the LPL after dropping to IMA. They've successfully returned to glory. Not necessarily the 2012-2013 throne that they would like, but winning here will put them on the right step to prove themselves on an international stage. On the other side, Snake Esports, the little kids who have finally grown up. Win or lose here, hats off to them, but if they do manage to take this towards IMA, that's one for the record books.
Team WE also get the chance for revenge if they do head into tomorrow's match against IMA, trying to take down the team that took 3rd place away from them in the LPL and use that to go into the World Championship later on this year. Snake really look like they want to continue this Cinderella story run.
There may not be a crowd in this arena, but you can definitely feel the tension, and you know that thousands of eyes are on Snake right now. They're going to gain a lot of fans, win or lose here.
As we move on to Summon's Rift, minions have spawned and are crashing into their respective lanes. Again, we'll see the AD carries and supports take a camp at level 1, not contested by either side of the map. Junglers will both start on the top side of the map. It is going to be Krugs that is taken away by SofM with the help of Flandre, whereas Condi this time round has started on his Gromp camp with the help of 957.
Yeah, taking an extra camp once again this time around. The junglers can afford to do so. SofM playing that Malzahar wants to get as strong as he possibly can, have all of his Wheaties and get all of the buffs before he looks towards a gank.
And there are the little aggressive voidlings that could helping chip away at this red buff.
Important to note that the initial dragon is that cloud dragon. Again, Malzahar can take down these epic monsters very early, very effectively, and very healthily using his army of voidlings. So unfortunate that it's not something like the Infernal Drake, but should be a very easy pickup for Malzahar at any point.
How far we've come in League of Legends. No Thunderlords to be seen as a Keystone Mastery.
Keystone Masters did come up there, so we see Strength of the Ages, the mid lane for Sia. For the Vladimir, SofM picking up the Storm Raiders Surge. on his Malzahar in the jungle. Even Gragas from the Undying being picked up by Zero on his Trundle in the bottom lane.
Yeah. Again, one of the few champions in the support role that can go Grasp of the Undying. I've actually seen a couple of Brahms do the same thing, knowing that the Trundle will have Grasp, so you can match the trades. But in this particular Trundle v Braum scenario, you hit the Braum so that he's not hitting the Jhin, and usually it's okay because of that.
Well, we get to check in with the mid lane to start things off. Tank has picked up Cassidy in his 10th game today, going up against a Vladimir. So far has been poked out quite well by Sia, but maintaining even in CS.
I mean, Sia was the mid laner who brought Vladimir to the LPL, the first one that we finally got to see do it live. He definitely knows the ins and outs of this champion, as well as Cassidy, another coveted pick for him. So very comfortable in this matchup and should be able to find places to abuse it.
As we move down into the bottom lane just then, Mystic and Zero still doing what they've done this entire series, trying to bully Crystal and Jay-Z every single chance they get. Win or lose, they've been able to grant themselves great CS advantages just from the laning phase alone.
It's funny, Zero and Mystic have this reputation, this nickname in China as the sleepy Korean bot lane because they tend to be late risers. That said, it's about 10 o'clock at night, so they should certainly be online and ready now.
We move into the jungle, and I can kind of see why SofM likes Malzahar now. He can farm Krugs over the wall. That's his favorite camp. He just puts Voilings over the top, does the work for him, but Tank has to be careful. That's early from Condi, and First Blood just easily picked up by Sia in the mid lane.
Just a walk in the park, really.
Yeah, very effectively done here from Condi. He's inside SofM's jungle, maybe playing towards the tendency that SofM's always at Krug's fish, and decides to gank mid lane instead. Picks up the Gragas, most importantly, as the champion of choice, and that's one of the strengths that it has.
And while the CS being denied in the mid lane, giving Vladimir not only First Blood, a kill, but also a 10 CS lead, Team W are now 1,000 gold ahead of Snake.
And that's the big punishing factor, is it's not just the CS, but it's also the experience there. The fact that the wave was crashing into the tower and what is a dive. Obviously, if you die 1v1 or 1v2, it's always going to be punishing, but if you die and then also miss that big wave on your tower, it's going to be an ultimate advantage to CA.
CA's gone back to base, picked up a Kindle gem for himself. The Vladimir can itemize towards the Spirit Resistor to reduce some of the damage dealt by this Cassidy, as well as heal up effectively with the increased healing he gets from the item.
So the thing is, he's been dove once. It's almost predictable that a second time is entirely likely, so SofM may put a lot more attention towards his middle lane now. CA is well and truly in control, and your goal is to get level 6 on Cassidy so he has some kind of lane presence, and until that point, he's just a sitting duck.
But the brilliance of this is that between the 2v2, because Cassidy is so far behind, like you said, Malzahar and Cassidy just straight lose that. Vladimir and Gragas, if they work together, they should be able to bully Tank and SofM around the map.
For now, we move into the top line for the first time in this match. Flandre up against 957. Nah did use the teleport early to get back to this lane. Went back, picked up another Doran's Blade as well as a refillable potion for himself. 957 follows through, goes back to base a little bit later, teleports in, has the Sheen available for himself.
It's going to help a lot, of course. Having the Sheen means that it's a really good recall timing for the Echo. In comparison to that of the Nah, double Doran's is a lane-based item build. And because he's into the Sheen, he has a health advantage. That's really it.
It's SofM, we haven't seen him move out of his jungle just yet. No counter jungling against Condi, just farming up his own minions. He's only very slightly ahead of the Gragas, but just not able to do anything so far in this Malzahar.
Yeah, turns out Malzahar jungle's not very good at ganking for 6 fish.
That's Crystal getting jumped on in this bottom lane. Jay-Z will get locked down by Mystic's Deadly Flourish. The crit comes down and hits the support. There's the exhaust being used onto both AD carries. Zero's just trucking away, slugging with the bat, trying to chip down Crystal. Forces the heal out of the AD carry, and exhaust being burnt by both supports as well.
Zero doing so much work in this matchup and really abusing them with the Trundle. And again, emphasis on the fact that Mystic was a Sivir and Ezreal pretty much exclusive player. The fact that he's opened up his champion pool as being successful with Jhin shows really good trends coming into this best of 5 and possibly looking tomorrow at IMA.
It hasn't even picked up Ezreal once during this entire series, which is strange to see coming out from Mystic. He even pulled it out once against EDG. I mean, even twice, I think, against EDG during their best of 5 series at the semi-finals of the LPL playoffs.
Yeah, it's usually his Game 5 comfort pick you would expect, but not to be seen, so naturally on this Jhin right now, he's putting in a lot of work, but again, mostly Zero. Mystic's doing his part, but without this Trundle, this lane would not be won as heavily.
And again, Team WE, they've been able to find CS leads in the bottom lane, a big criticism we had about them during this best of 5 series. They didn't pick winning lanes, and now they have against Snake, and they're showing to be really strong with them. Top side of the map, 957 still trying to trade effectively with Flange as he pushes the wave in towards his tower.
I think it goes back to SofM on the Malzahar. So Rusty said it earlier, Malzahar really doesn't have any heavy ganking opportunity pre-level 6. He does have his ultimate now available to him, but without that added pressure of having your jungler there on your side, Snake have kind of fallen apart at the seams within the first 8 minutes of this game.
The reason I say this is, and I'm going to challenge it, Kassadin for tank. SofM, yeah, maybe he could have ganked mid, but what's he going to do for a Kassadin? For a Gnar, it needs to be in Mega, so it's very timing and window reliant. He could have perhaps gone towards the bottom lane, but they're losing, and there's always vision control available for WE, and you can't gank through the lane as a Malzahar unless you have the ultimate. So really, they're just set up to fail in early game, Snake. They can still start to scale up, though, and be strong as the game goes on. As long as it's not too big of a deficit, they should be fine.
They're really reliant on making a good reactive play on what Team WE want to be proactive, but most likely Team W will just sit back and kind of farm to their power spikes. That's what this team has been known to do. That's their MO.
Well, let's see if they can do just that, because tank in the mid lane on Kassadin has been able to hit level 6, also picked up his Catalyst. That's where things start to look up for Kassadin in this mid lane, and slowly Snake are trying to claw back the 1,000 gold deficit that Team W created at the start of this game.
Trade's going a bit better in favor for Tank here now that he does have that ultimate, although he's pretty much just burning mana against the fact that CA is going to get a lot of that health back, so he's winning, but for a tiny window.
There's a 15 CS lead for CA at the moment, who's been able to keep himself healthy with the transfusions. Condi now looking to take down Scuttle Crab on the top side of Summoner's Rift.
Trust CA to go for a Spirit Visage first item instead of a Proto Belt. He's one of those guys.
As SofM moving towards the top side of the map. Condi is nearby. We'll be able to spot him from Fog of War. Good ward being placed by SofM. Spots him out in the Rift Herald camp.
I guess SofM was a bit confused there, as that's a really pointless ultimate from CA.
That reminds me of what Victor's like to do in the mid lane.
Yeah, except Victor usually has the presence when he does that. I have genuinely no idea what that was for.
He's Tank now just able to pick up the rest of the farm. Hemo play going to be down for CF for some time. And SofM, it's kind of strange to see him stay in his side of the jungle the entire game. For 10 minutes, he's just been farming his own jungle.
Well, it's because Condi's been so much more proactive on this map early game, invading very early, getting that first blood behind tower, and now possibly more.
SofM just gets popped as he runs up towards C and does absolutely nothing.
Condi looks like a new man rejuvenated right now. That's 2 back-to-back first bloods on this Kassadin. Excuse me, now on the Malzahar.
Oh.
They're both purple.
Rejuvenated? I think Condi's pissed off. I think you've made him angry. Angry Condi's the best jungler in the LPL.
Agree. It's high-pressure situation. That's something that Condi made his reputation and stake on in the LPL. You know, he's kind of serviceable, standard jungler, but when you put him in these high-pressure Baron steals, these need, make it or break it, Elder Dragon smites, or that one Lee Sin kick to turn the game, he will show up. And right now in this best of 5 with worlds on the line, he came to play.
He's in the bottom lane now. Crystal getting singled out by the traffic cone. This time round, doesn't take too bad of a trade against Mystic. And they've been able to claw back the CS deficit as well. They're now only a single... Oh no, they're not. I just can't see numbers effectively. It's 10 CS still up for Mystic.
I'd very clap, but it sounds really jarring on broadcast.
It's harder now that there's no audience, as Condi's now
Yeah, there's echo.
continuing to look for invades. And that's the big key thing, is that he's placing this deep vision, that he's constantly finding where SofM is. We talked about how Snake would have to be very diligent on finding vision on Condi to open up windows and opportunities for him to invade cross-map and take camps for free. And frankly, Tank's been locked down because he died. And Flandre has 0 assistance, so no one's been able to place those deep wards that SofM is really reliant on.
Sia has been really oppressive in this mid lane still, keeping Tank as far behind as possible, chipping at the turret wherever he can as well. Seems like every single lane except for the top side of the map really going in Team WE's favor to start things off.
So this is why Condi can be so aggressive. Winning lanes means that he gets more successful ganks off, or at least pathing towards those ganks. Feels like rinse and repeat at this stage, but this impenetrable fortress that is a Vladimir's health bar Means that Gragas can afford to go near the Raptors and Wolves on the enemy side of the jungle easily.
And again, Condi sitting underneath CA, waiting for the wave to bounce back and being available. A, either covering Vladimir if SofM decides to walk into the mid lane, or B, setting himself up for another gank.
So we've had a wide variety of games here tonight. You know, first match of this series, you know, it was action in the top lane for Snake, action in the bottom lane for Team WE. Went into the second game, it was a Nidalee running havoc on Summoner's Rift, just destroying people left, right, and center. This game just kind of feel like people are chilling out till this happened. They're trying to lock down 957. He just flashes over the wall. Condi used the ultimate to separate the two of them, and they don't get a pick onto 957 either.
Actually stopped the jump from Flandre over the wall, I believe, there from Condi. So that was a pretty big deal. Might have saved 957's life there, who does not have his ultimate as he used it to get back to lane.
Tank even using his teleport to get back into his mid lane. That turret is incredibly low.
Hilariously, while the junglers have been spotted on the map, both supports went roaming to place down Deep Vision. They found each other, and now it's Fight Club.
Zero versus JZ. That's the real thing we want to see.
Now, the real thing we want to see is how CA does on this Vladimir. So CA is in a very interesting spot where we had this era of really dominant mid laners in the LPL, although as I set this up, there's actually a gank that's happening around CA. So
yeah.
We'll step back for a second.
That's just support saying hello again.
We've got SofM down here as well. See ya.
He doesn't have his ultimate, so he will be of little use.
Uses his blood bank and heals himself back up.
So there's this era of commanding mid laners. You had Messiah, you had Cool when he was performing, you had Whites, the retirement of Messiah, Whites, Cool stepping away from an injury, and this big hole opened up in China's mid lane scene. It was thought that Zatai would really step up and be the next big mid laner. Of course, Zatai now a top laner. Rookie steps forward, but you know, Dade, he just survived relegation. A lot of these mid laners have fallen away, and it's up to CA really to kind of pick up that baton and become the new Chinese mid laner.
They're going for a fight though. Tank incredibly low. Hemo play is going to be enough to pop him. Tries to stay alive, but he can't. Flandre's here though. Gets the first pick on towards Condi. CA now trying to run for his life. Flandre about to go mega power lock convergence. Will lock both of them down in the stun. CA going back in, and now just shoves 957 back in. SofM locks it down with the ultimate. They kill him before he can use the ultimate from Echo to get himself back into that. SofM picks up another kill for the team.
I think CA could have been more forward. I feel like the Vladimir could have had a bigger impact in that fight. 957 teleports basically to save his life. And it works out negatively for WE. Good movements once again, though you can see the relevance of the Malzahar.
And there's the pressure on CA to step forward. You know, a lot of eyes on him. He's supposed to kind of pick up the throne, be the new Chinese mid laner. Unfortunately, didn't work out in that play, but he's very hit and miss. Think back to his Diana performance on the international IEM stage.
And again, that means teleport is down for 957 trying to get into that lane, but Flandre is still going to be up and ready to use. At the same time though, Team WE looking to try and take down the first structure, which has been in this mid lane. Tank holding on for his dear life. There are pings going out towards it. They know that it's incredibly low, and it can just be taken out with one swift push from their team.
They're moving Jin. He does have his ultimate available, so they're just going to try to force this.
Tank tries to go in. There comes the pillar, getting locked down. Deadly Flourish comes out, as well as the ultimate. Tank taking a beating as Brom jumps in, gets him to stand behind the shield. But they do lose the first turret. The first turret goal gets taken down and given over towards CA.
Yeah, the pressure's there. The turret goes down, so WE make a positive move once again. The strength of Jin, even in comparison to the Sivir, is that you can walk mid lane and actually lock people down to kill them, whereas Crystal would have to walk in and press his R button and try and rally the troops to get a kill at all. And given Snake's team composition, I just don't see how the Sivir fits in too nicely until late game. And so at this stage, WE do have the edge.
They do have an opportunity, though, where they use that ultimate to try to get SofM in kill threat zone.
Currently, he's on top of a pink ward, hiding in the bottom lane, second brush. Meanwhile, Condi and Zero looking to take down Cloud Dragon. They pick that one up. Next Dragon Spawn is going to be the Infernal Drake. SofM has now snuck his way into the second brush here.
Yeah, he's in here.
Let's see if they go for a Crystal going in on Hobby Pop. That's a flash from Mystic immediately to get the heck out of there. Now 3 members of Snake looking to try and push for this turret. Condi joins them and stops the push. Zero even in the back lines to make sure they can't get anywhere. SofM locking him down, dealing some good damage on towards the Trundles. The Voidlings chip away at the support, but doesn't get a kill for it.
But ultimately, a rotation from Condi and CA will stave off Snake's aggression.
Yeah, kind of just ulted Zero because it can, I guess. Yeah. That's my analysis.
Let's see it as eventually make his way down towards
Can't
the
keep
bottom
my
lane.
eyes open, alright.
Gives Tank some breathing room in the mid lane to farm up and try and equalize the CS deficit that's been created by the Vladimir. Does have his Spirit Precision picked up, then went for the Proto Belt second, so it's already a very big Vladimir in the mid lane.
Yeah, CA is honestly a pretty big deal. Kassadin will still scale and is kind of a level-reliant champion in comparison even to the Vlad. Will still have his part in this game. I just really question how difficult it's going to be because Snake have come into this 5th game, and to compare them to WE, it's like they've picked 5 of the hardest champions to win with, besides the bottom lane of Snake in their respective roles. WE have just picked 5 comfortable champions that will always be able to do their part, win or lose in their laning phase, and they're winning their laning phase.
And a big thing too is Snake has to be very perfect and very precise when they're matching Team WE's pressure points through creep waves. If Crystal isn't in position, they can very quickly lose towers because Kassadin doesn't have any wave clear built on him. So yeah, we expect Kassadin needs to be picked with a high wave clear 80 carry, but then again, that's more pressure on Sivir. If Crystal's ever caught out, if he's ever not in position, towers will fall for free.
Yeah, I think the end game result here is not necessarily a 1-3-1 from Snake, but like a 1-3-1 where Flandre will push and then rotate. It's more about just that minion control. Zero's
He's been caught.
just getting ulted again.
Flashes away from both the ultimates used by SofM, Crystal as well as JC.
He effectively also trades his flash for Jay-Z's flash.
I'm ready for a 5 QSS game. I'm calling it now.
Well, there's already 2 being picked up on the side of Team WE. Both 957 and Condi have one. It's just a matter of time.
We're getting there.
Slowly but surely, the QSS will be stacked up.
Condi now looking for the return flank, has to cast.
SofM has to flash away. There goes Condi into the
Boom,
back
baby.
lines, looking for it. SofM's trying to duke it out, but he can't. First kill goes on over towards Zeros. He picks it up. Now he's a bit of trouble. Mystic taking a lot of damage. Tank be able to take it down. He rift walks out, forces 957 to flash on forward. But the rest of Snake now have to retreat. Only Flandre left up. He's trying to duke it out with 3 members. Turns Mega, trying to run away, but he's being chased down. Sia's even coming back into this. Tries to flash away. He's the only member remaining from Snake, but 4 members spawn. It's now 7-3 in terms of kills.
Too little, too late. Flandre wasn't there in time with the Meganar, so a superior collapse and better turnaround from Team WE, and again, helmed by Condi.
It's on the back of Malzahar not having his ultimate as well, so the jungle position not able to have an impact in terms of how that fight goes. Condi does play it well, utilizes the QSS to make sure that he's not stunned up, and you will get to see all of this again. Waits for the Braum shield to go down before he even considers throwing his ultimate, and is doing a substantial amount of damage. The thing is, Kassadin goes in, all of attention was on Mystic, but meanwhile, GA absolutely smacking everybody. By the way, you can proto belt in pool. I didn't know that, I just watched it.
Yep, that's pretty silly as he just goes in the back lines, gets the double kill onto the A carry and support. Flandre turned Meg at the right time, was in a cluster of Team W members, but no team to back him up. And Snake have found themselves in the same situation they were in game number 4, which is 4,000 gold behind. It's Crystal getting jumped on. That's a big crit coming out from the Jhin. They're still chasing down on towards the Sivir. Deadly Flourish comes out. Condi bops him with the ultimate, and now it's just Jay-Z that's left. He's trying to juke through, but it's a double kill that gets picked up by Mystic.
And the thing is, we just saw this happen on the bottom side of the tower. Snake should know that Team WE are going topside because it's the last standing outer. There's no other place that they would be.
GA will take you on. The thing is, like, Mystic is so large at the moment that it felt like his bullets were doing more than the average Jhin does. Because he's just so damn fed.
That's a gold graph I've ever seen.
Okay,
See it now being jumped on.
How cool is that? I've never seen someone else do that.
Halfway through the Sanguine pool, just to make sure he gets the heck away from them.
It's really deceptive.
It's again a 5,000 gold lead for Team WE. 21 minutes in the game. Snake, they were able to pull it back at about 30 minutes in this stage in game 4. Question is now if they can do the exact same thing here, or if Team WE can continue to play the clinical League of Legends game they've played so far and close it out nice and comfortably in game 5.
It's a lot easier to siege structures with Team W's composition than it has been through the rest of the series. Again, they have the Jhin as well as the Gragas and Echo. So approaching these towers and threatening them with their dive, their cask, as well as the curtain call, much easier to execute. So I feel like Team WE continue to just be very clinical about this. Infernal Drake spawning in 20 seconds, move in, lay down your triangle vision over that blue buff, and then bounce between bottom and mid. Open up Jin's ultimate, take whatever you want.
And Crystal's top lane, so it's not going to get towards the Dragon Pit soon enough anyway. And the key word that you mentioned was dive. WE, as a siege composition, don't necessarily siege. They kill you under your own turret.
Past it, yeah.
Okay.
The desperation.
That's actually clever.
To try and take down the Baron. Pings are going out onto it. There is a ward and a pixel brush next to it. They might have spotted out the animations, but it's getting down pretty low. Half health already.
Collapsing.
Here comes Jin, looking to try and collapse onto towards the pit. First crying of use. This is incredibly low. It's a smite battle. They're going to go for it. SofM picks up the Baron buff. He's going to try and lock down Mystic. Will get taken down. Jay-Z might fall as he's trying to run away from Condi as well as 957. Deadly Flourish locks him down. He tries to jump to tank. Can't quite do it. The caster now trying to riff walk out of there. Gets knocked back by the Gragas. Flashes away. But still, 2 picks traded for a Baron buff picked up by Snake.
And they managed to retain it on multiple members, so that means that they can at least apply the Baron in all 3 positions and slow down, catch their breath away from this Team WE siege.
It's
Great play.
Yeah, it's the kind of play that actually had to happen for Snake to find a way back into this. But they found the play.
The Hail Mary miracle play.
Well, it's brought them back to 4,000 gold behind Team WE. As Crystal now getting jumped on by Condi. Deadly Flourish not going to lock him down. Tank going over the wall. There's the Sanguine Pool trying to jump on top of him. Flandre's into the fight as well now. Condi incredibly low. Has to flash away. But it's still going to be 80 carry from the side of Snake that gets taken down. Infernal Dragons up. Team WE move towards the pit.
Rinse and repeat. WE, they just find you, they dive you, they kill you, and then they go towards the objective. They could have went for this Infernal earlier, however, Snake now find their way in, and they can fight this.
Well, they're looking for it. Flandre trying to get into the pit, but both frontline members of Team WE just bounce over the back of the Dragon Wall.
I'll get a turret, though.
I was going to say, it's 1-3 in turrets, so Snake with the Baron buff could potentially tie up the gold that's been taken in terms of turrets for Team WE. But after the back of that Dragon fight, Team WE just put themselves even further ahead against the Baroned up Snake.
They need to regroup and reset the map, however, which means that Snake have a big opportunity where they can back up, place down defensive vision, and try to set another trap for Team WE. They still have a lot of assassination potential as well as great single target lockdown.
Interesting if Team WE going to be able to move towards that next step. It's game number 5, down to the wire, and they're ahead against Snake. A very powerful team. They need to close this one out in order to go to tomorrow's match against Aimee. And already, like we said a few times now, off to a great start.
Sorry, I was just doing the maths in my head of the Infernal Drake and how much damage Jin will have when he has 700 AD, which is close to full build. The answer's a lot. Don't ask. I was just on a tangent. I have no idea what you guys said for the past 30 seconds.
That's okay. TLDR Rusty, Team WE are in the lead. Snake are behind. It's game 5.
56 AD per Dragon.
And obviously why it's important is because it's back-to-back Infernal Drakes. Mystic showing up that we don't want to call it a Jin composition, but when a champion itemizes into 700 AD and you get double Infernal late game, you're going to hit someone and they're going to explode.
Pretty much. There's now Tank in a bit of trouble in the mid lane. Condi looking to try and wrap around him. There's still Baron buff available for Snake, but they haven't been able to push with it.
Check out Condi's scoreline. Like, I feel like I've just blinked and it's now sitting 1-1-10. He's participated in 11 out of 12 kills. He's facing across from SofM, the superstar jungler coming into the LPL. I mean, Son of Baron is a big deal, but he's not an SofM big deal.
They're all just 0-3.
You've got a 1-3 in SofM. You calm down.
They're not having a great time on the side of Snake in the way of kills, but they're still keeping themselves within this game close enough through at least getting objectives, having farm. They're still trying to get to a point of power.
And off of the back of a play from SofM, speaking of that superstar jungler, the fact that he had the call, we're doing the Baron, this is how the Malzahar works. We have great epic monster control, so let's use it.
Still very scary for Snake. Trying to fight Team WE as they approach 30 minutes of the game is no easy task. They have done it once before. Question is if they can do it again.
So we did just see 957 push Tank away. That's actually a 1v1 that Tank will start to win eventually.
Okay.
But we're nowhere near that point yet, and this means that the 1-3-1 is not ideal for WE, nor is the 4-1, so they can't actually split push yet.
And we're also to the point where the Baron buff has finally fallen off, so Team WE can now look back and get into siege mode. Make use of the fact that 957 is still a relevant factor against that casted lane assignment.
As they push in towards the mid lane inner turret, Flandre about to turn Mega. They see this and immediately back the heck away from that angry Gnar.
All they need to do is be patient, however, Although CA is actually going to burn it back.
Well, it seems like Snake of the team just holding on, knowing that they are behind, knowing they will fall further behind. Tank finds 957. Power Converge is going down. Flandre going for the flank as well. Power Converge only locks down the Cassidy. Flandre about to go Mega. But Condi's presence alone is enough to deter the chase from Snake's solo laners.
We're almost there, Frostgurn. 4 out of 5 QSS is purchased.
No.
I'm more concerned with the fact that Team W are slowing down the tempo of the game so far. They're still in the driver's seat, and I feel like it's very dangerous to allow Snake's composition to continue to ramp up. Yes, both options have great late game scaling potential, but Snake have already proven across this series that if you take them to a single team fight game, they can and will outfight you.
I mean, the thing is, it's still WE. It's reverting to comfort in Game 5 of just getting to late game and taking the 50-50. Still makes sense to me simply because it is them. And like realistically, a 50-50 is more like a 60-40 for WE, even in a situation where statistically it is.
We're approaching 30 minutes into the game, and it's exactly the same time where the next two major objectives spawn. Infernal Dragon coming up in a minute 30, Baron in a minute 15.
You know, a vision battle now needs to be decided upon here. Do Snake or WE put more emphasis on the Baron than the Drake? One's an easy objective to take, but giving two Infernals to WE could suck.
Well, Snake also have the luxury where they can very easily just send Malzahar to take down the Infernal Drake. Likewise, if WE leaves them alone with that Baron, we've already seen how quickly they can burn it the first time around. Malzahar's only stronger at this point.
See on the top side of the map now, trying to split push against Tank. Doesn't have a teleport for himself. Has picked up his Rylance Perceptor to go with that QSS picked up previously. SofM going to be hit by this one. One more shot. Going to connect! Mystic slicer from downtown to take down Snake's jungler.
And that's the beauty of that combo.
Yeah, he was actually meant to flash over the wall to the Braum at the Raptors. He made a big mistake.
It's now Sia actually flashing forward to try and take down Tank. We'll slow him down with the Rylance. Rift Wall coming out from Tank. It's not going to be enough for him to take down the Cassidy.
He's so fast.
Yeah. That was a lot of mobility, actually, out of both of them. Close to using the Sanguine Pool to dodge the slow, actually, out of the Cassidy, and that might have been the kill, but doesn't get it.
And it's now the mid lane in the turret falls. Snake going to drop another turret here against Team WE. Baron's up and available.
They're teleporting towards it.
Yep, 957's going down. Team WE start this one off. SofM still dead. No smite contest coming out from Snake. They ping out the Infernal Dragon. That's all they can take at this point in time. And Team WE propelled themselves even further ahead in this fifth game.
They're just going to trade the objective as best they can. Unfortunately for Snake, one of them provides gold values, and that means the scaling composition that WE have will get there sooner, firstly, but also has the capabilities of getting more structures taken down from here on out as the foremost factor.
And now all pressure is on Crystal. He needs to make sure that he can stall out this Baron buff long enough that Snake can survive, look towards that late game, look towards more of those breakpoints. If he's out of position just once, they have a Cassidy, so their structures will fall underneath Baron.
And slowly, the Cinderella story for Snake is falling apart. 10 brutal games played today. Maybe all for nothing. If they can't pick up a win here, they don't advance to the next round, the Gauntlet. 10 hours of gameplay from this team, and finally they might have been broken.
And you know, coming into this, I suspected that Team W would be the heavy favorites, but Snake, despite all of the disadvantages against them, have put on one hell of a show.
They certainly have, but Team WE in game number 5 now looking clinical and strong. This is the performance we expected out of them coming into this series in all of their matches. Hasn't been that way so far, but definitely been looking good, especially in this match.
Whoa!
You see just Condi going aggressive forward.
Yeah, he missed it, but it also really didn't matter because the immediate response was to get the heck out by the Sivir. So they can keep going. The spell shield is down.
If Snake fail here, though, it will mean more than just the inhibitor. So they need to play this upcoming team fight if they do fight perfectly. Otherwise, just stall out the Baron as long as possible and secede as least as possible.
Yeah, so Tank's level 16 on the Cassidy, and they also had the Mega Nard during that situation. Now that it's down, WE could look towards taking this one out.
And they start by opening up with the Kerner Call. Power Conversion zones out the rest of the team as well as that Trundle Traffic Cone gives Team WE the space they need to work with to take down the inhibitor turret. now working on the inhibitor itself. Flandre can't take on the
Wow.
damage. SofM to be delivered into the team. He tries to lock someone down, but he is dead. Team WE now wiping the floor with Snake. A double kill comes out for Jin. They're chasing on towards the base. Only 3 members left for Snake.
This could be the game right now for Team WE, but it looks like they don't opt towards it just yet. Start with the middle lane first.
And the big factor is that Crystal survived and they were so low health. It would just take about 3 ricochets through that black line to just obliterate Team WE, but they continue the siege.
There's a 10,000 gold lead for Snake. There goes
got
957. He's got Crystal. Exhaust onto the Sivir. They're all piling on top of this AD carry. He gets taken down. The next target's the Cassidy. It's a double kill for Mystic as they beat down on the mid lane inhibitor and waltz on towards the Nexus. Flandre can only throw a boomerangs as he watches his structures get taken down. He's the next target, gets bopped into his team. Guardian Angel's going to be popped, but that doesn't matter because they're already onto the Nexus.
Looks like it's going to be game. Of course, everyone's still fighting, but WE, it feels like they have been pushed back for at least the moment.
Oh my god.
They're still pushing.
They're struggling to finish. It looks like it'll still be game, though.
It's onto the Nexus turrets. The first has fallen. They're taking down
There we go.
SofM again. Jay-Z, the last man standing. The turret's going down. Team W have done it in the 5th game against Snake. They're able to take down Snake Esports, and they will advance into tomorrow's match against IMA to fight for the final spot heading into Worlds for LPL.
And such a bittersweet victory. Unfortunately, Snake's pumpkin, their clock struck midnight. The Cinderella story does end here, but more importantly, Team WE rebuilding that dynasty now get to continue their shot for that 3rd ticket to Worlds. It's just between a rematch of the 3rd versus 4th match. IMA standing between them and international glory.
And that's just absolute heartbreak for Snake. To be perfectly honest, they came down to the wire. It took them literally every single possible game. And at the last moment, they do fall short, but credit where it's due to Team WE. It was a 20-minute odd break where they came back completely reinvigorated and an outstanding Game 5 performance.
They just looked like monsters that game from start to finish. Condi in particular setting up his team, beating SofM at every turn. And you can see the defeat and the exhaustion on their faces. Flandre.
Like you said, Frostgren, the clock struck midnight, or 11:17 in this case, and that was lights out for Snake. 10 grueling games for them. 5 against Vici. They got the reverse sweep to get them into this match against Team WE. Pulled out some massive victories so they could take it to game number 5. But ultimately, the experience of Team WE just trumps, and they're going to get their rematch against IMA tomorrow.
And you know, Fish, we're sitting in an arena that's pretty much empty, but with Team WE taking a best of 5 and continuing the world dream, you know that millions of people are giving them a standing ovation right now.
Yeah, I think both of these teams actually built a lot of fans through tonight. Snake in particular, standing strong and standing resilient says a lot about this team. But this game number 5, we said it already, Condi put on a clinic most importantly, but WE were just going off. Don't give Shie Vladimir as well. How could they do that?
And from the little team that could, Snake, they don't make it into the finals of the regional gauntlet qualifier, but still impress the world. And it's going to be interesting to watch them as they come back for the next split of the LPL.
And this bot lane, Mystic and Zero, we've already said that they are the most criminally underrated bot lane in the LPL, but Mystic in particular going the distance, picking up the Jin and showing that he's more than just a 2-champion wonder.
So we're going to be going through the highlights of that final game. It was just a walking highlight for Team WE as they piece by piece take apart Snake. Condi had a massive performance on this Gragas. Was able to allow his solo lane, or set up his solo lanes for success in this match.
Those last 2 highlights were literally within 30 seconds of each other. Condi made massive plays bottom, then immediately ran top and just did the exact same thing there. He didn't miss a beat.
And then there was this.
This
SofM
was a mistake. Look at Braum. Look at where he could have flashed. Look at what you could have been, SofM.
This was also a massive mistake. The fact that Snake, they could have just given this inhibitor away for free, live to fight another day, but they get caught out. They are too aggressive, step forward, and Team WE punish them and take the game off that.
And you see the damage delta in that entire game. Mystic on top of that with the Jim, but it's also Sia that contributes heavily to that match. We have SofM on that Malzahar dropping down to the 4th position for Snake there. a big match for Snake. They can't pull through. It's Team W that do get the victory.
Yeah, and look, Flandre still doing a lot of damage for his team. Honestly had the series of his life. That's a word. He played very well for all of these games.
And the MVP for that final match goes over towards Condi. The son of Baron himself picks it up with his MVP performance on Gragas, and rightfully so. He's set up his team for success, and he's the main reason why they're able to get a victory there in game number 5.
So off of the 3 victories for Team W over the series, it's been 0, CA, and Condi, and I think that pretty much sums up Team WE perfectly. If you've never seen this team play before, they are 5 B-rate players that come together to make an S-tier team.
Tune in next time for 957 as well as Mystic picking up the MVP as well. They're just these players that come together as a team really well. When they step up as a team, they perform incredibly well.
Yeah, absolutely right. They are a good team. They're a good unit. They communicate very well. That was the most important thing. Their vision control, their decision making, and their communication is what separates WE seemingly from the rest. Having an all-Korean bottom lane helps that fact. There isn't language barriers for the most part, and they're able to work together seamlessly as a team. They also didn't swap rosters between splits, and that's the other big thing. Every other team in the LPL actually swapped a player.
And Team WE, they took a lot of chances in building up this roster. They went for the long-term goals here. You know, picking up someone like CA, who is a Twisted Fate one-trick through solo queue, and having the confidence that he will become this all-star Chinese mid laner, and he certainly stepped up today.
And with that, Team WE, they're able to pick up a 3-2 victory over Snake, stopping their Cinderella run at the 10th and final game in their Gauntlet run here today. That means that Team WE will be advancing into the next match of the Regional Gauntlet Qualifier, which will be against IMA tomorrow, and that's the final match to determine who's going to be the 3rd seed team from the LPL heading into the World Championship later on this year. But that's all from us here tonight. We still have more LPL action tomorrow, so do make sure to stay tuned here. On behalf of myself, Frosco and Rusty, the entire casting team, as well as the entire English production team, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.